down $7 at $725.50 per ton, and new crop November is down $3.20 at $606.30. There are declines in Chicago soy oil and Malaysian palm oil. European rapeseed is mixed, with gains in the front months. The Canadian Grain Commission says producer deliveries of canola for the week ending March 21st are more than 384,000 tons. That's down about 10% from the previous week. Canola exports tumbled 58% to about 129,000 tons. Domestic usage is up nearly 4% at 207,000 tons. The Canadian dollar is higher Friday morning, with the loonie at 79.58 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 79.33. Argentina says its soybean production is to be 44 million tons this year. That's a drop of more than 7% from the previous estimate from the Agriculture Ministry. Also, Argentine producers have sold about 12.45 million tons of the 2020-21 soybean crop. That's down almost 29% from the previous year. France reports its soft wheat crop remains at 87% good to excellent condition. ICAR says wheat production in Russia is forecast to be 79.8 million tons in 2020-21. That's a 2% increase from its previous estimate. ICAR expects wheat exports from Russia to reach 39.5 million tons in the 2021-22 marketing year. Dry conditions in the United States are improving according to the University of Nebraska's drought monitor. For the week ending March 23rd, about 64.2% of U.S. acres were dry or in drought. That's down about 1.6% from the previous week. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are lower on Friday morning. The May soybean contract is down a nickel at $14.09.5 per bushel. May soy oil is down 0.3 cents at 54.68 U.S. cents per pound. May soy meal is down $3.10 at 401.50 per hundredweight. Corn futures are higher on Friday morning, with the May contract up 2 cents at 548.5 per bushel. Chicago oats are slightly lower, with the May contract down a penny at 373.5 per bushel. Wheat futures are narrowly mixed on Friday. Chicago May is down 2.5 cents at 6.10. Kansas City May is up 1/4 cent at 5.67, and Minneapolis May is down a penny at 6.16. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, March 26th. For Markets Farm in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
If you need a tractor that's small but mighty, Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John has just the tickets. The Workmaster 25S subcompact tractor from New Holland. With 25 horsepower, a 3-point hitch, rear PTO, and mid PTO, it handles chores a garden tractor just can't. Plus, this economical tractor gives you deluxe comfort and simple 2-pedal operation that makes it easy to mow, load, dig, grade, and more. Stop by Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John today to learn more about the Workmaster 25S.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Welcome to the show. A little later on, we're going to be chatting with Darren Snider, the president of the Fort St. John Soccer Club, about the letter he sent to the City Council expressing his long-standing frustration with the condition of the fields over at Surerus Park. But first, there's been a notable rise in anti-Asian racism since the beginning of the pandemic, and our first guest has experienced it firsthand here in Fort St. John. He recently did a TED Talk on the subject. So to chat about it, I'm very pleased to welcome Trystan Jones. Trystan, welcome to Moose Talks. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So why don't we start at the beginning of this kind of short journey we are on anyway. You experienced kind of a racism that got a lot of media attention firsthand just about a year ago right here in Fort St. John. Can you kind of retell that story to us, please?
Yeah, sure. So me and my brother, we were out for a drive to go and get groceries at the local Safeway in Fort St. John. when the two of us, as we were entering into the Safeway, some guy in his truck rolled down his window, and the passengers all proceeded to send slurs my way and speak the most incredibly racist rendition of Chinese that you've ever heard.
And I mean, out of curiosity, oh, I'm sorry, Trystan. I was just going to say, did you know the person, or was it just a random guy?
Just a random person on the street. The incident itself, my brother didn't even really know what was going on until he saw the expression on my face when we got inside. My brother is of white origin, so it's not really something that he's ever had to deal with. And seeing my just frustration and anger after having gone through what many other people in Canada and BC have gone through with the coronavirus pandemic. I, like many other students, I lost my job, I lost my apartment, and all of my classes were moved online. And I had moved home because there was nothing else for me here down in Vancouver. The incident happened just a couple of weeks after my return to town, and it was really just sad because in that moment of vulnerability, when I had been at my lowest, I was then confronted with such an abhorrent act of racism.
Now, you mentioned in your TED Talk, Trystan, you talked about growing up in Fort St. John. So that incident was not isolated. It's something you've kind of been dealing with basically your whole life, right?
Yes. From a very, very young age, race has kind of always been a thing that has affected my life. I grew up in Montney and Rose Prairie, just outside of town, and I attended Upper Pine Elementary School. And pretty much all throughout my early childhood education, the race was the number one thing that caused conflict in my life.
Now, I have to ask, I mean, you basically live in Vancouver now. You've lived in other cities in the world. Is this something that you've experienced in the same way in a place like Vancouver, or is it kind of been unique to you in your experience in rural Canada when you've, growing up here, for example?
No, I would not say that it is unique to the rural experience. In Vancouver, racism has been on the rise, especially anti-Asian racism. A recent report came out with 1,000 documented hate crimes over the past year, with 45% of those being in British Columbia. The majority obviously being Vancouver due to its predominant Asian population. When it comes to the differences between the city and the rural aspects, I have definitely found that when it comes to the rural communities, these sorts of attacks and hate crimes are just more pronounced. You see less and less people willing to speak out against these issues, and more people are just kind of willing to brush it off because either they don't have the courage to bring it up, or they just don't feel comfortable being vulnerable and calling out this sort of just disgusting behavior.
So, Trystan, I mean, given that you've kind of dealt with this your whole life in, here and in all the other places you lived, I mean, how do you deal with it? What's kind of your way of handling it when it's something like that happens in the hours and days and weeks after you experience something like that?
Well, at first, for a lot of my life, I just kind of took it. That because it was such a thing that happened so often, and it was so common that you kind of just don't realize how it's affecting you, and the fact is that it happened all the time. So it would be kind of hard to make a stink about it if I was doing that every day. Now that I've gotten older and I've done a lot of inner reflections, I have decided that enough's enough. And whenever something like this is going to happen, I think it's my duty to speak up. Because some people might not have the courage to do so themselves, and the only way that issues such as this can be solved is by honest conversation and dialogue. We can't confront these incredibly complex social issues without being able to have these conversations, and it's my hope that we can normalize them in our everyday discourse.
Now let's fast forward to your TED Talk now, which I think is a very big part of that conversation that you're trying to establish or continue on. I mean, how did that come about, first of all? It seems sort of you were asked to do it, as I understand it, right? You were approached by somebody and said, hey, we'd love for you to tell us about your experiences with racism.
It's a kind of a combination. So TEDx partners up with Simon Fraser University. It's the university that I have done all of my studies at. The political science department, which is my department, had sent out some emails to some students about submitting applications for the TED Talk. Around this time, I had been taking part in some of the anti-racism and Black Lives Matter solidarity protests in Fort St. John, as well as having experienced the things that I had experienced just a month before. So what ended up happening was I had, just kind of threw a shot in the dark at sending an application in, and then after a very, very intensive interview process that went on for a number of weeks, they decided to move forward with the talk.
And I mean, preparing for the talk, I mean, I guess you, in the application, you knew what you wanted to talk about already. So was it difficult to kind of go to think on and reflect on this kind of stuff that, has probably been a painful part of your life in order to do the talk? Or again, I mean, like you say, it's kind of just a part of life, so it was kind of like second nature to talk about it.
I will say that it was a bit tougher just to bring up a lot of these old, scars, I guess you could say. It was, with anything like this, especially as a kid, you could say it was traumatic in a way. But that being said, it just makes it that much more important to be speaking up about this. And I felt that whatever, uncomfortability I felt about speaking about this on such a large platform, it was completely it was a non-issue compared to how important it was to be speaking about these kinds of things.
Well, I mean, we get to kind of the tough question to answer, maybe. I mean, what should we be doing about this? What can I be doing about this to stop this from happening? Stop it from happening as much as it has been, to make it easier for people and to make it so that we don't have these incidents occur anymore. What can we do?
At the individual level, I think it's important to be having conversations of self-reflection. The most important thing is a lot of people may not realize that they have these subconscious or unconscious biases because they've been with them for their entire lives. I've had numerous people from Fort St. John and the Peace region come to me and ask me, like, what can I be doing better? Or I didn't realize that this was something that was such an issue for people of color and minorities in the region. With that being said, the most important thing as well is to, when someone wants to have this discussion with you, to not, judge them or, put them in a place where they could feel uncomfortable coming to you and talking about this, because often the best way to get someone to understand where you're coming from is to sit there and figure out why it is they think the way they think, and discuss this as if they're just human beings. And more times than not, those people will come away and they will understand the reality that you have been living in for however long.
All right. Well, it's a conversation we're going to have to continue having, I think, and hopefully, the work you're putting in and your TED Talk specifically, which we'll make sure to link to, helps keep that conversation moving forward. Now, before we go, you wanted to make a little announcement.
I did. So, as many people know, in Fort St. John, there has been a by-election called for this spring. It is my intention to seek the nomination for candidacy for this upcoming by-election, and it is my hope that we can begin putting a diverse portfolio and to have people in power that represent the way that the region is going. People want to have these discussions, and we need elected leaders who are willing to have these conversations and have the experience of dealing with them themselves.
All right, Trystan. Well, then I can assume we will be having you on the show again very soon once all the nomination things close in regards to the by-election. But Trystan, I'm really grateful you took a few minutes to talk to us about this today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. That's Trystan Jones of Fort St. John. We'll be right back to talk with Darren Snider right after this on Moose Talks. Your car, your RV, your trailer. Northern Auto Electric in Fort St. John can repair them all, and they have all the parts you need in stock. Known for having the highest quality auto parts and service, Northern Auto Electric sells and rebuilds alternators and starters. They offer vehicle-mounted air compressors, Webasto diesel preheaters, positive air shutoffs, and much more. Northern Auto Electric. To learn more about everything they do, see them at 109th Street and 90th Avenue beside the Co-op Card Lock, Fort St. John.
If you're a regular at your locally owned and operated home hardware, chances are you know William. He's always at the forefront of the pumpkin plunge. He can usually be found helping out in all departments, and this week, William celebrates his 30th anniversary working for Home Hardware. Everyone would like to thank him for his great customer service and product knowledge over the last 3 decades. And if you see William, be sure to congratulate him on 30 years. Home Hardware Building Center. Here's how.
Big money, big money!
The Neat Bingo Extravaganza is on Tuesday, March 30th at 7 p.m. On the Grey Card, you could win up to $700 with any one line, $900 with 2 lines, $1,200 with the large square, and the blackout jackpot of $1,800. Bingo cards are $5 each and available at these fine retailers: the Fireweed Market in the former System by Trail building, Gateway SO, the Taylor and Liquor Store, Ready Mart next to Q-Spot, and Neat.ca. The Neat Bingo Extravaganza, Tuesday, March 30th at 7 p.m.
BC Gaming Event License number 126599. Know your limit, play within it. 18 plus. Please note that bingo is only available on Facebook at Moose FM and at Energetic City.
Stay and win in Grand Prairie. $10,000 up for grabs. Now through April, stay at one of Grand Prairie's preferred hotels for a chance to win the spring giveaway. First place, $5,000 cash. Second, $3,000. Third place, $2,000. Entry details at gprda.com.
The Encore Suites by Service Plus Inns is Grand Prairie's premier comfort stay hotel. Spacious suites, state-of-the-art fitness room, and deluxe hot breakfast included. Call 587-259-0425 and ask about the spring promotion.
At Work BC, we know a good job makes all the difference, especially now. As BC's economy recovers, Work BC can help you find your place. Search new opportunities with Work BC's job board. Apply for training and education to help you grow your skills, or prepare for a new career. Search, apply, train with help from Work BC. Contact a Work BC centre near you or go to workbc.ca/findyourplace. A message from the Government of British Columbia.
At Peace Pharmacy, we help you save money by giving you the best service at competitive prices. If you need a prescription filled, have home health care needs, or just have a question for our certified staff, we have you covered. For fast, friendly service, visit Peace Pharmacy beside the ABC Medical Clinic on 101st Ave.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Darren Snider, the president of the Fort St. John Soccer Club, sent a letter to City Council last week explaining his frustration with the city and council over the condition of the fields at Surerus Park. So we sat down with Darren to talk a bit about his frustration and what he's hoping the city will do. Here's that conversation. Darren, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you betcha. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So you've written a letter to City Council, or you did rather, a couple weeks ago, I think at this point, expressing your frustration with the city over their inaction on repairing and maintaining the soccer fields at Surerus Park. Can you explain a bit about the nature of your frustration?
Yeah, it's been many, many years, and fields have never been worked on or maintained properly, to the point where a couple of years ago we decided it wasn't worth the risk of using them anymore.
So you're saying the club stopped using the field specifically at the Surerus Park there?
Yeah, that's correct. After we used to always use School District 60, and then we were using both, and now we've just went back 2 years ago to using mainly School District 60 fields.
Okay. What is it about the fields that are so bad specifically, even in comparison to, say, School District 60 fields?
They were improperly constructed, and everybody's aware of that in the city and whatnot. They were improperly constructed when they were built, 25 years ago or whatever. And so they don't have proper drainage. They aren't properly contoured for water and things like that. There's a trench down the middle that's just full of water and bulrushes and everything and mosquitoes. And then a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, they did install or try to fix the irrigation system, and then they didn't backfill the trenches properly, which in turn left perfect foot size trench across the field.
I see. So in other words, players were would get their foot caught in the trench and cause injuries, then, I assume.
We did have some rolled ankles and things like that, and I believe we had one broken ankle of some sort, yeah.
Okay.
In addition, just to rewind to what was wrong when they initially constructed it as well, and I'm not too sure why, but the gravel was added, and gravel comes up through the grass. So then if kids fall down, you get that added scratches, scrapes, and whatnot from that.
And obviously then, I assume, in comparison, the School District 60 fields are much better?
They're not full of gravel, that's one thing. They're not full of holes. The School District 60 fields are sort of playground-based, and so they have a lot of wear and tear on them throughout the year. So it's not ideal for us to go on at the end of the day after they've already been used all day kind of thing. So it's hard on their fields to have us using them all the time as well.
Okay. Why did this come up specifically? I mean, if you're using the fields from School District 60 already, is there some issue with that arrangement, or is it just you need more space for people to be able to use, and as such, you would like the Surerus fields to be available for your use in the soccer club?
Frustration from the standpoint of hearing other things getting fixed and whatnot in the city, and the fields that we would like to use aren't. Why would we like to use them? As I was saying, the School District 60 fields, we've worked great with School District 60. We've always had a good relationship with them. But their fields do get used all day by classes and the playground at lunch hour and everything like that. And then to throw on 4 hours in an evening of soccer, it's a lot heavy use on the grass, right? Whereas if you can move to some place that isn't used as much, like the Surerus fields, and the grass is properly maintained, then you wouldn't have the bare spots and things like that that end up happening by the end of the season. Additionally, when we're using School District 60 fields, you have one team playing here at one school, and then you go to another school and there's another game there, and it's very spread out and diverse, around the community. Ideally, we would love to have a spot where more of the soccer community can come together and sort of play it all in one spot, so that more of a soccer feeling, more of a community feeling for it.
I see. So it turned more into an event that people could attend and maybe see a couple games in a row, that sort of thing, I assume.
Yeah, third-party watching, but also just having the smaller kids watch the older kids, you know how that goes, stuff like that. So just more of a feel in the soccer community, yeah.
So as I understand it, Darren, the area is actually slated for redevelopment as part of the 2022 capital budget. So that's coming up, according to their plan anyway. So what are you hoping the city will do in the meantime, as part of that budget, to do something with those fields? What do you want them to do, ideally?
I'm not too sure, Dub. This is something that I've met with city managers for many, many years, and it's always been, yeah, in a couple of years we're going to do it, in a couple of years, in a couple of years. So when I called this year or emailed and asked if the fields would be repaired this year, and the answer was no, I just started writing my letter, I guess. just a little bit of frustration from that standpoint. It's just another year, right? We've been told for many, many years that this was going to be repaired. They're going to repair its priority. Different managers have talked about it. Managers move on. A new manager comes with a different priority, and nothing gets done. So it was just frustration. And this time I just decided I would send the letter to City Council as opposed to the city managers themselves. Whether that's right or wrong, that's kind of just what I decided to do.
Okay. And as I understand it, City Council said they have agreed to meet with you and have a meeting about it?
Apparently that's what they said they would have. Nobody's been in contact yet. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan, I guess.
I think one of the more notable lines of your letter was you said something along the lines that if this was an issue with ice, like hockey rinks or skating ice in this city, there's no way this would have happened. And you, in the letter, furthermore, you argue that it's more cost effective to maintain a soccer field than it is even with the ice. So do you think that this, and I'm spitballing here, it's a matter of how many users there are in the soccer club, or do you have so many players and you feel like this has just been ignored for whatever reason?
It's been ignored. Membership numbers are fairly similar between soccer and hockey, notwithstanding the fact that hockey, just in Canada in general, is a very important aspect of Canadian life, and soccer is more of a pastime, I would say. With regards to the soccer field itself, if you have an ice rink or a curling rink, it's a maintained facility and everybody looks at that. I just feel that this soccer pitch is just looked at as a grassy area that we can go play soccer on, and that's not how it should be being looked at. It should be looked at as a soccer facility that needs maintenance, and it needs to be upkept in order to maintain quality surface on it.
And out of curiosity, how many players do you have registered as part of leagues with the Fort St. John Soccer Club?
We'll skip the COVID year here, but normal years in like 2019, indoor season was about 370. Outdoor season was about 400 or 580. So.
Okay, well there you go. So
and that's just youth. That's just youth, right? So.
Yeah, so that doesn't include adult soccer like rec leagues that could also potentially use these fields.
Correct. Yeah. No.
Okay. Well, as you said, you've been banging on the door with the city for some time. City Council has said they're going to meet with you. You said they haven't reached out yet. How hopeful are you that something might actually happen this time and that they might actually do something about it for you?
I guess it kind of depends on whether the 2022 date is actually going to happen this time. Because given that grass has to grow and that's going to take a full year, I'm not too sure what kind of top dressing they would even consider at this point if they're fully engaged in doing a full repair in 2 years from now, right, or in a year. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not holding my breath for this year. Wouldn't be ready for this year anyways. So.
At least it gets it on the agenda for the future. Okay. Well, Darren, I really appreciate you taking some time to explain this to us, and we'll definitely be following you up with you and with the city after this meeting as hopefully happen in the future. Thanks so much, Darren.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. We'll be right back with more on Moose Talks right after this.
If it's time to think about upgrading that RV mattress, check out Brad's Furniture and Appliances. They also do custom cut mattresses in all sizes and have a huge selection of mattresses to take home today. Plus, a Frigidaire self-clean convection range with air fry is now just $10.99, and in-stock top-load laundry pairs start at $9.99. Financing available OAC.
Brad's Furniture and Appliances
in the Northgate Mall and also on Facebook.
Better call small.
There's always something going on in the energetic city, and the staff from the City of Fort St. John Recreation Department have planned a variety of exciting programs and events. Here's what's coming up.
Make your outdoor walk more fun as you play Neighborhood Bingo. Get the kids excited for a walk and find as many items as possible. Print your bingo sheet from the city website or pick up at the Visitor Center.
For more information on this event, view the Recreation and Leisure Guide at fortstjohn.ca or follow the City of Fort St. John Recreation on Facebook.
Our our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
Our thanks again to our guests today, Trystan Jones and Darren Snider. If you missed this episode, you'll be able to watch it again shortly on the Moose FM and EnergeticCity.ca Facebook pages. It's in video format. If you'd like to see my beautiful face, you can also download the podcast version over at www.energeticcity.ca/Moose Talks. Well, that does it for this episode of the show. Moose Talks is produced by Adam Rayburn and Trey Lopashinsky. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.
100.1 Moose FM.